Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Thanks for joining us on today's webinar. My name is Ben Oken, and I'm a Partner Marketing Manager at Pitney Bowes. We're excited to have you join us today as we cover some details about the Pitney Bowes partnership with DesktopShipper and how to get started shipping with Pitney Bowes technology. We'll be joined today by Clark Ransom from DesktopShipper and Bruce Beatty and Paul Mamola from Pitney Bowes. Before we get started, I wanted to review a few housekeeping items. The audio for the webinar will play through your computer speakers, and you can ask questions at any time during the presentation. Please click on the Q&A icon on the bottom of the On24 interface. We'll hopefully have some time at the end of the presentation to answer those questions. The webinar will also be available on demand. At any time, you can return to the registration URL and listen to the webinar. I think that takes care of the housekeeping items, so I'll turn it over to you now, Clark.
Hey everyone, Clark Ransom. You guys all probably know me pretty well. Wanted to talk to you a little bit about DesktopShipper and why we partnered with Pitney Bowes. We're always looking for the best partners in the industry, and Pitney Bowes is driven by the customer experience, and that allows us to really focus in on our customer experience as well. And we're always looking to provide the best innovative services to our customers. And with Pitney Bowes, we can do that. I'm going to go ahead and kind of turn it over to Bruce now to go ahead and talk a little bit about our integration and how we work together.
Terrific, Clark. Thank you. And thanks everybody for joining us this morning. It's a nice opportunity for us to be able to talk directly with the clients for DesktopShipper. It's been a great partnership working with Clark and his team, and we look forward to working with all of you and some exciting new services that we'll be introducing. Some of them here on this presentation, and some of them in the coming months. So Pitney Bowes is a technology company first and foremost, but as Clark mentioned, we've got a really big focus on the customer experience driven by a very significant direct client and partner community. And so we're looking at innovative logistics services. We're adding value to some services that exist in the marketplace already to fulfill the needs of consumers whose expectations are changing on a daily basis, driven by Amazon and the whole of the e-commerce infrastructure. Pitney Bowes works with a lot of major retailers, both large and small, 3PLs, partners like DesktopShipper. We've got some very nice statistics here that give you an appreciation for who we are and how long we've been in the business. We've actually been a partner of the U.S. Postal Service for over 100 years. We were the first automation partner for the USPS, and it essentially invented the mailing machines that have put indices on all the mail that have gone through the system for years, and we process billions of pieces of mail annually. So working closely with the Postal Service and working closely with those retailers, we have focused on adding value to existing postal services. And one of the flagship introductions that we made last year, we worked closely with DesktopShipper during the holiday season and introduced a guaranteed delivery for priority mail. This is a standard service that is you're automatically signed up for this service as a part of the DesktopShipper integration when you establish an account with Pitney Bowes. It essentially provides a 3-day delivery guarantee. Postal Service is still delivering in the same fashion that they would have before, but if it takes them more than 3 days to deliver a package, we will refund the cost of that shipment directly to you back into your postage account. So it's a really nice added value, something that the Postal Service is unable to provide directly. and gives them a bit of a parity with other carriers that provide delivery guarantees. So you get a better assurance and an opportunity to recover costs if anything is late. There's absolutely no cost for the guarantee program. Your shipping cost is exactly the same as it would have been for priority mail. So all of this is handled in the background. We track the shipments and determine whether they've been delivered on time. And then you have the opportunity to make claims for any late deliveries that occur. We do use the postal calendar, Monday to Saturday deliveries, as the 3 days. So you're getting the same quality of service from the Postal Service with an added value from Pitney Bowes. Each of you, as you sign up for your postage accounts, you'll be registered with us for the delivery guarantee, and you'll receive from us emailed to you a welcome kit with details on the claims process. Claims process is very simple and straightforward. There's an online site that you can go to enter your claim for late delivery, and we process those within 10 days and get those back to you right away. So details will be in that welcome package. The other thing that we worked on collaboratively with the Postal Service is the ability to provide you with automated refunds for unused labels. This is something that's been in the marketplace for a while, but some of our competitors have pulled back from this service. Pitney Bowes has a utility that runs in the background and will search for any labels that you generated that are more than 26 days old. And if those labels have not been scanned by the Postal Service so that we know they've been used, so anything older than 26 days that hasn't been handed to the Postal Service, we will initiate a refund process with the Postal Service automatically on your behalf. And the Postal Service will then refund that money directly into your USPS postage account, your Pitney Bowes postage account. That process takes about 2 weeks from the time that we initiate the refund request. And you have visibility to any of the refunds that we've requested, what their status was with the Postal Service, in our merchant portal. We call that the merchant portal. That's where your postage account is. And Paul will give you a guided tour of the merchant portal in just a few minutes. So this is a nice added value for Postal. We've also introduced the Parcel Protection Program. It's an alternative to USPS insurance. As you can see here, the cost of protecting the parcel is significantly lower than it is with Postal. So DesktopShipper has set up this program as the default for you. And anytime you're processing a USPS package, you'll be charged these rates for insurance coverage on that package. And then you've got a very simple claims process with Pitney Bowes and our partners who manage this. Turnaround is very quick. It's a very efficient process. Any of you who have potentially dealt with claims with the Postal Service, it can be a little challenging sometimes to get through the process and actually get money back. So this is a nice enhancement again to the Postal Services. In addition to the lower cost, the turnaround time on a claim once you have entered it electronically on the website is 3 business days or less. So a very quick turnaround in terms of adjudication and determination of whether the bill will be paid, and then it takes just a few more days to get that money back directly to you. There's a sample of the claim form on the portal. again, just some basic information about the claim. We'll do the calculation in the background about delivery and quickly determine the validity of the claim and get that refund to you. And then we have scan-based return labels. Scan-based returns, you're probably all familiar with this from Zappos and companies that put return labels in packages. These are labels that are only paid for when they are scanned by the USPS. So you can print the labels, provide them to your customers, and if they use them, then you pay for them. And it works with both models. The put it in all the boxes if you have a very high percentage of returns. If you've got a lower percentage of returns, it likely makes more sense to print them on demand. But by printing them on demand and using these scan-based labels, if the customer makes a claim, going to return something, and you print the label, and then the customer changes their mind, you haven't paid for that shipping label. So you don't have to void it. You don't have to wait for a refund. The label is essentially free until it is used. It's a nice flexibility and adds some extra value to your engagement with clients. So how do you get started taking advantage of all these goodies from Pitney Bowes and DesktopShipper? Paul's going to walk you through the registration process for our accounts and give you a tour of the merchant portal and the information that's available to you. Once again, thank you again for joining us this morning. Paul?
Yes, thanks, Bruce. As Bruce alluded to, I'm going to walk you through the PB merchant portal registration process, and as we go through these slides, you'll see it's a pretty straightforward and easy process. So the screen that you're looking at right now, you can hit that screen by clicking on the link that DesktopShipper provides you in their email, and it's going to bring you to our merchant onboarding landing page. It's just a summary page of what we'll be doing through the process, and if you look in the lower right-hand corner, you'll see just a button to sign on. So as you click that button, you'll just get a basic create account screen, with name, the email address. An email address that you enter is going to be your sign-on username. So just keep that in mind as you go through this. And then, basically company information. After you click continue, we do an address validation with USPS on the company address information that you provided. If there is a change to be needed, you'll see this in this screen where we present a suggestion. You can take that suggestion, or you can click on the edit address button and make your own change and go through that process again. Once the address is verified, we'll just give you a confirmation screen saying, hey, this is the address we're registering, and with the email address and phone number information. You'll click submit. And what we do is it's a successful screen pop-up, and what we'll do is send you an email saying, congratulations, you registered, and let's start the next process. So it's really just confirming the email you put in is good. And if you don't get an email from us within, a minute or so, just please check your junk email, make sure it didn't go into there. But again, after this process, check your email, and you'll see there's a merchant onboarding welcome email that you'll receive. In this email, there's a button to continue the registration process where this is where we get into the portal and we set up your funding and get you registered in the PB merchant portal. A little more additional information that's in here is you can click on the link to, if you want to bookmark the login URL, you certainly can do that at this time. If you're having any issues, going through this process, we provide an email address or phone number for some support. Okay, for those who may have registered in the past, or maybe they forgot someone else registered your company into the portal, they would receive a second style or second version of a welcome email, just providing them a log on button instead of a register button. Okay, then the final step to get yourself set up in the portal is, of course, setting up your password. Just a basic password screen. With, again, in the middle of the screen will give you the password rules that you need to provide. And once we accept your password, you click on Complete Registration button on the bottom of the screen, and now you're ready to log on to the portal. Again, using that email address that you were provided previously. Okay, after you log on, here is the initial dashboard. So this is the dashboard before you had set up a payment method. So again, this is an important process to go through. You get your initial registration. You need to follow up with that email, get to this point, and now it's time to set up your funding method. By default, we're going to default to USPS as your carrier. And now it's time to choose your funding method. We provide a line of credit if that's how you'd like to fund your postage account, or you can simply click on the radio button by credit card. If you chose a line of credit, we're going to ask you for your tax identification number along with the billing address it's associated to. You don't have to type in the address again if it's the same company address that you had populated earlier on in the registration process. And again, and a similar step, if you selected credit card, this is just some basic information that you're used to providing. Any account set up as far as just credit card information. And again, you have a radio button to select that billing address is the same billing address as the company address that you had populated earlier. So once you're set with your funding method, you'd click Continue, and now you're ready to fund your postage account. So you're presented with this screen, and to really get going, you need to again fund the account by doing what we'd call it a one-time fill. So that's the first line you see there, and it defaults to $100. You can leave it, at $100 if you like, or you have the ability to change it to whatever amount you like there, and then you would just click on Fill, and your account is funded. Below that is your auto refill settings, your auto refill parameters that you'd want to set up. Again, we have a default settings. You have an auto refill of $400. And then to the right of that is your low balance threshold. So it's default to 100. So if your postage count goes below 100 from these default parameters, you'll auto refill to 400. If you're unsure of what these settings should be for your account, we have you look right below the auto refill settings. We have a calculator there. It's just a little utility. If you click on that, it's just going to present you just a couple of questions. Really, it's what your weekly volume is. And it's going to give you a suggestion of what your auto refill parameters should be. And once you click Apply Amounts, you'll see that you'll get, now this is the normal home page or dashboard that you'll see when you log into the PB Merchant portal. To the left, you'll see that amount of that one-time refill that you did, which is $100. At any point, you can do another one-time refill, or you see on the left below the left-hand side of the screen that you can change your auto refill parameters. To the right of the home page and your postage amounts is a transaction page. It'll show the most recent transactions. Again, if you click on View All Transactions, it'll open up another page where you can apply a date range to transactions you want to look up. Bruce alluded to before, as far as refunds go, you'll also have filters to Click on to funds, fund transactions, refund transactions, or print label transactions. So you have some ability to do some searching and filtering on your shipment history. And if you click on the upper right-hand corner from that home page, which was your email address or your user, we'll present a little drop-down menu of your account information. It'll, again, a menu to go back to your postage setup. And also to the left of that, you'll see a little question mark right next to your name, and that's our online support, which you'll find very useful, where it has some FAQs and a lot of information about our portal and the services we provided. Okay, that's a nice high-level summary of the portal. I guess it's time to open up to the audience any questions that you have for me, Bruce, or Clark.
Yeah, thanks, Paul and Bruce. That was great, and thanks, Clark, for the quick intro. We do have a handful of questions that have come through, and just a reminder for those who want to submit a question, you can use the Q&A tab at the bottom of the On24 interface to do that. So I'll go through the questions. I'll open it up to Bruce, Clark, and Paul as well. So feel free to chime in. But I think the first one probably goes to Bruce, and it's a question really about delivery guarantee, and I'll try to summarize the question, but the question is, a lot of times the shipper is having trouble with the USPS scanning the packages into their system, and so it looks like in the system that the package hasn't been delivered to the post office to be delivered. And so how can they prove that these shipments took more than 3 days to deliver if they're not scanned in on time? Essentially, how can they ensure, what are the best practices to make sure that the Postal Service is scanning in those packages as they are being delivered to the Postal Service to finally be delivered to the end customer?
So the key thing is to just maintain printer quality to make sure that the labels are scannable by the USPS when the time comes. There's really not much you or Pitney Bowes can do regarding the postal processes. They've been much better of late or recently in terms of scanning all packages. They're now scanning directly at the injection points, automated scanning of the barcode, of the labels on the barcode, and doing weight and dimensioning of packages as they flow through the system. That can happen at different points along the way, but generally we know when the label was printed, we know when that first scan has occurred, assuming that it occurred at the point of injection to the Postal Service. And that's their standard. So there's not much we can do about the process, but you can work to make sure that your label printer ribbons are changed with sufficient frequency, that the scan rates on the labels are maintained. That's about the only best practice that you can actually have an impact with.
Yeah, and I guess the other thing is, if they're a lower volume customer, they could potentially hand the package off to the post office and make sure that, watch them do the actual induction scan there. Obviously, if you're doing any volume whatsoever, that's not really rational, but, if you're doing one or two, a handful of packages a day, you could just sit there and make sure that they're actually scanned into the system. Next question is really about parcel protection. What is covered under parcel protection? Are damaged shipments covered under parcel protection? Is there a weight limit?
Damaged packages are absolutely covered. That's the intent of the insurance program. This is different than the delivery guarantee. So it is for lost or damaged packages on the carrier side. So what you would have claimed directly with the Postal Service, you can now, having made the having chosen Pitney Bowes as the insurance provider, you can make the claim directly to us. There are a couple of exceptions. There's a limit of $10,000 for any particular package, and there's some restrictions on the type of merchandise. It's a very narrow list, narrower even than the Postal Service offers, and that list is in the welcome package associated with the insurance program. So you'll see that at the web link that we provided in this presentation. And
and weight limit wise, there's no real weight limit either, right? As long as you're shipping that package to the Postal Service, and actually Parcel Protection now covers any carrier, but there is no weight limit for that parcel being protected.
Yeah. Just to clarify, the implementation with DesktopShipper, our insurance program is specific to USPS. That may change at some point in the future, but for now, we're a postal partner, so we're focused on the postal transactions.
Completely. All right. Next question comes in and is asking about where can they find out about the cost for return labels, and can it be integrated with their customer service software? I guess, Mark, this question comes from you. If you could type in what your customer service software is, that'd be great. But open question to either Bruce or Paul or even Clark.
I think that's going to be a question for Clark and the customer service support team there. Yep.
Yeah, and Mark, we can actually probably follow up with this on a phone call to talk a little bit about what your customer service software is and how we can integrate those labels into there. We do have capabilities for, hitting our API and passing those labels back, or potentially if we're integrated to your software, somehow passing those labels back to there. So that's probably an open discussion that we can have offline on a phone call and kind of get into the details and the weeds of how we would make that happen.
Great. I think
and in terms of the...
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Oh, yeah. In terms of the cost for return labels, what's great about PB is there is no charge for doing scan-based returns on, over and above the postage cost. So that is a huge advantage to DesktopShipper customers that they can take advantage with PB.
And then Clark, follow-up question, I guess. Where does a customer go in the DesktopShipper interface or software to print that scan-based return label? Is that something you want to take offline, or do you think you can answer that on the
just quickly, if anybody has questions on how to set up the scan-based returns, please call into the DesktopShipper support team. You can ask for support can actually help you, or if you want to actually kind of talk with one of our reps here, you can ask for Rachel. She has been working with customers setting up their PB accounts and taking advantage of all these great features. So if you have some questions or want to work with someone here to set up your return labels or your parcel protection, please feel free to just give us a call and we'll work with you immediately on that.
All right. I think this is probably a question for Paul. It says, we're already set up to pay for a Pitney Bowes with a credit card. Who do I contact to sign up for a line of credit?
Yeah, thanks, Ben. Yeah, it's a pretty easy process. In the merchant portal, you'll see contact information for our payment support team. They can handle that pretty quickly. There's also a form you can fill out online where you do provide your tax ID number and and again your billing address information, company address information is associated with that TIN number.
All right. Let me see what else here. There's a question about seeing orders that are delivered late for delivery guarantee. I believe you have to. We sort of put that onto the onus of the shipper. So you've got to make sure that you're checking to see when your items are shipped and when they are delivered. And then once you realize it's outside of that 3-day window, you can then file a claim for delivery guarantee. If we already have a USPS account, can we use this option in the portal?
It needs to be a Pitney Bowes USPS account. Go ahead, Clark.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I'll take that one. You will be able to use your Pitney Bowes account in the Desktop Shipper portal if you're using our web-based application. Again, for implementing your PB account after you've created it and you need some help adding it to the Desktop Shipper software, please call support. They will assist you. They will walk you through it, and we'll make sure that we go through all the features and you're taking advantage of all the nice tools and features that PB brings to Desktop Shipper customers.
Awesome. Just a couple questions. I'll try to group these questions together about parcel protection. There are a couple questions about paying for parcel protection and how is it, if it's automatically added to each order, or is there an option to do that? Can you guys, probably Clark and Bruce, can you guys talk about how that's set up? So if a merchant is interested in adding parcel protection to a shipment, how do they do that? And then is there a way to essentially have every shipment have a claim for parcel protection or add parcel protection to every shipment?
Yeah, and I can take this one. So with parcel protection, our shipping software is actually using parcel protection, and when he said by default, basically when you add the special service of insurance to a USPS package and you have your Pitney Bowes account set up, by default it's going to use the parcel protection that Pitney Bowes provides instead of the USPS insurance. And that is because it's cheaper and the claims process is very easy. So why not use it, right? And so it's not adding it to every package by default. You still have to add the insurance special service in our system. You can set up business rules to auto-apply that based on an order value or some kind of rule where you want to add insurance to it. Maybe it's a shipping method or something to that nature. If you have any questions about how to set up those rules, again, reach out to our support. We can assist with that. You can add insurance from the main screen by just clicking the insurance ribbon at the bottom and applying it. It will show you, it will add the insurance cost to the total postage of your package at the time of adding it. Or if it was auto-applied based on your rule, you will see that additional charge added into the postage as well.
Sounds great. Couple more questions, and I think we'll cover most of them. Can scan-based return labels be auto-printed with each shipment?
Yes, they can.
Okay.
We would want to. Yeah, very simple. We'd want to talk to you about a little bit about how that works. And when you send out an outbound shipment, it goes a certain shipping method. Not always are you going to want that to go the same shipping method on the way back. So if you work with one of our implementation reps or our support reps, we can talk with you about what's the best way to choose the return service for returning the package to you so that you use least cost and it makes sense.
Great. I think this next question is for Paul. Is there a way to fund the Pitney Bowes account with an ACH transaction?
Yeah, we have a few other varieties of funding methods other than what's displayed to you during the merchant registration. And we can work with you offline for that, but we do have, a line of credit daily auto pay that we had set up with Desktop Shipper, wherever it does pull from, it's an ACH pull from your daily usage of postage, so there'll be no line of credit fees associated to that. But if Desktop Shipper provides you my email address, after this, we can talk about the other varieties of funding methods that we have. It also includes reserve account and ACH pushes.
Yeah, we'll reach out. I'll make sure that, Paul and team, we have the contact information for those who have asked questions that maybe didn't get answered to the fullest extent, or, that we need to follow up with. So We'll make sure, for all those attendees who are typing in questions, we'll make sure we follow up if we haven't answered your question. I think the last one we can, and I think this was touched on briefly, but if we already have an account with Pitney Bowes, do we need to delete that account and make a new one? My understanding is they need to make sure that they have signed up through DesktopShipper to create an account that will connect to a Pitney Bowes account that will connect to DesktopShipper. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's correct, Ben. And they can use their, the same email address if they'd like. They would just get prompted on, what account they'd like to log into, or they can just register again with a different email address. If there's a line of credit associated, we can have that moved over, or they could just enter their credit card information in.
Okay.
And one thing I wanted to add to that, if I could, is I don't know that we may have made a key bullet point of this, but your Pitney Bowes account with DesktopShipper will be free. So when you sign up with the link through DesktopShipper, you will not pay for your Pitney Bowes account. That is a little bit different than the other providers out there that you're paying $15 or $30 a month. With DesktopShipper and Pitney Bowes, your PC postage account is going to be free.
Great. Thanks, Clark.
Clark, I'm glad you mentioned that. I forgot about it.
Yeah. I think those are most of the questions. Obviously, for those on the webinar, if you have other questions that pop up, feel free to reach out to the DesktopShipper team or the Pitney Bowes team. As I mentioned earlier, we will follow up with some of those questions, or some of those questions in a little bit more detail for those that came through. So I wanted to thank everyone who was able to attend the webinar. We hope this was provided you with some good details on the Pitney Bowes and the DesktopShipper partnership and experience. And we look forward to working with you in the future. Thanks a lot.
Thanks, everyone.